Good morning, everybody. I'm with my partner and secretary, Maya, here. And today we are going to talk about oxygen tanks. So I hope you find this interesting. In this video, we talked about how to set up pony bottles, how to make sure we are filling up with the right equipment, we are filling up from the main medical grade tanks to our transportable bottles, using either a free flow delivery system with the pressure valve and the flow adjustment knob, or using a regulator. And there's different uses for it, there's different environments. I simply believe have both, know how to use both, and be able to provide both to your students in competitions. It's nice to have as much as possible, but even in training sessions, you never know. This doesn't apply to courses, it shouldn't, but you should always be ready for any situation, okay? So I've removed the DIN piece, and I can connect this right here. Make sure you have the O-rings. You can buy this component and it needs to have a gauge and a bleeding valve. This is called a bleeding valve. You need to have this. It's very important to depressurize before you disconnect. This component is going to connect right here. Again, you need to make sure that you've applied the appropriate O-rings. This hose with a pressure gauge and a bleeding valve will connect to the main, and that is what allows you to refill this. So that's pretty cool. How do we deliver the oxygen from the tanks? Well, there's really two systems that are very safe and simple. I like to keep them stored in this waterproof case. A Nitrox grade oxygen clean regulator, like this Apex one. This is really good if someone's had a blackout, they're conscious, they've had a lung squeeze, maybe you want to give them some supplemental oxygen. Just for context, this thing I bought in Canada, $900. They're not cheap, okay? You can get away with a cheaper one, non-oxygen clean, as they say. You know, quality knows quality, and it's actually kind of nice because you can just connect that right away. What's nice about this setup is that you don't need that CGA 40 to DIN adapter, okay? So that's kind of nice. And then here, what do? You can regulate, you can check the pressure gauge here. You slowly, once again, open the oxygen and you give this to the person who's gonna start breathing, and you can also kind of regulate it with this little knob here. So it's a really good regulator. Obviously you wanna bleed it a bit, and it's a very transportable system. You can have this on the boat, you can even have this on the buoy ready to go. Whereas this one is more like, okay, there's a medical situation, the person's not conscious, or they have DCI, and you need something like this. So you should also have this in your box. You've got your little pony, which is a smaller size one, which is most likely the one you're gonna have. You've got your, once again, your DIN adapter with the O-rings. So you wanna make sure that here you put the O-rings. The O-rings, they look like this, and they need to be the right size. I've been sent wrong sizes before, just make sure you get sent the right size. You connect that, then you actually have this system here. Once again, it's kind of nice. It's a pressure gauge, and here you have a knob that kind of dials how much oxygen is flowing out, right? And it really depends the units, but here we've got pounds per square inch, and then here we've got free flow in terms of oxygen flow. You've got this other little component which connects right here to this. You place this on the person, you slowly open the valve, the oxygen starts to flow, you check the pressure, you adjust the flow rate right here, you allow for delivery. So this is one method of doing it, especially if the person really, I've been in a situation where someone had they had DCI, decompression illness, in freediving, and half their body was paralyzed. They had a regulator, and it was almost impossible for them to hold the regulator because half their body was paralyzed. They recovered. They should have had this, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, let me know if I am, but even though it doesn't create the pressure that a regulator would, and it's kind of more of a hassle, like look at all this crap, but it's also good to have. So how you set this up really depends on you. Like, are you gonna have this on the boat? Are you gonna have this on the buoy? Are you gonna have this back at your dive school? That's not really up to me to say that. I remember training in some of the best places in the world, like Sharm el-Sheikh. My old coach, Andrea Zuccari, he'd be proud to say that in 13 minutes, you're in a modern hospital, no matter what happens. You know, from the platform to the modern hospital in a hyperbaric chamber, you're there in 13 minutes, which means in about 2 to 3 minutes, you would already be breathing pure oxygen, and within 4 or 5, you'd be transported off-site. Not all schools in the world can provide such incredible, safety and rescue support, but we can all do our best through the resources we have available. Doesn't mean we have to start freediving. Summary, in this video, we talked about how to set up pony bottles, how to make sure we are filling up with the right equipment, we are filling up from the main medical grade tanks to our transportable bottles, using either a free flow delivery system with the pressure valve and the flow adjustment knob, or using a regulator. And there's different uses for it, there's different environments. I simply believe have both, know how to use both, and be able to provide both to your students in competitions. It's nice to have as much as possible, but even in training sessions, you never know. This doesn't apply to courses, it shouldn't, but you should always be ready for any situation, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if I got anything wrong in terms of medical or science, by all means. And feel free to send me a message and reach out and come join us for some diving on Sikihor Island.